Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. Meditation gathers energy and strength when we meditate together. This week, we have Libby McArthur, who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing and questions, and we'll end at 10:45. Over to you, Libby.
Hello everyone, and I'm so chuffed and delighted to be here. I can't wait for our meditation, and I'll try not to take up too much time waffling. I was saying to Dan earlier that I think one of the things that I feel strongly just now in these strange times when there's so much loneliness, and yet today's courtesy is to give each other a wide berth, it's to embrace the Course is easily as we can, because let's face it, guys, we know how daunting it can be. Sometimes we read things like there is no world, this is the central thought the Course attempts to teach, not everyone is ready to accept it, and each one must go as far as he can, let himself be led along the road to truth. He will return and go still further, or perhaps step back a while and then return again. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm stepping back and returning all the time. It's a bit like, a big ocean liner can't just change course. It has these tabs on the rudder, like a filofax, where each wee bit of water helps the big ship turn, And it's like the Course is such a fundamental shift for us that sometimes I think we just go, whoa, can't do it, So for me, I'm thinking about ways to talk to you today about the way that I embrace the Course and make it easy for me to be a Course student. So there's three areas that I do this with. I do it with improvisation, which is one of my strong suits. I'm an actor. I set up the Glasgow ACIM study group about 25 years ago. And when I first set it up, I was also improvising a lot, doing a lot of comedy improv and stuff, a wee bit like Whose Line Is It Anyway kind of thing. And I started to notice that this journey of improv was something that I could relate with the Course, alongside the Course. So, for example, as a child, and I will not ever stop thinking of myself as a child, and I think the Course encourages me to think of myself as a child, and I would encourage all of us to think ourselves as children inside, because we really know nothing, and we have to keep looking to the grown-ups, which for me is the Holy Spirit. But as a child in the long grass, I was bullied a lot as a kid. My mum had she had 4 children, 4 boys, 4 girls, and 3 nervous breakdowns. So we're talking about a big Catholic house and no money. So in the long grass of a summer's evening, I came into my own by improvising stories, which I got downloaded with beginning and a middle and an end, and an Aesop's fable kind of twist at the end. And I started to realise that I could literally click into something that wasn't necessarily something I was doing with my thinking head. And I would encourage us all to go back to that place. And when we're meditating, for me, it's about falling back away from the mind that set up all the separation issues in the first place into a place that's much more childlike, I'm beginning to understand now that mastery looks like a 4-year-old. You just have to look at the Dalai Lama. He looks like a toddler, So encouraging us all to be in a childlike state, I think, is what the Course does a lot. So the improvisation for me is summed up in 2 words: yes and ... So that's the way I think we need to look at this crazy old world of us, is we kind of say yes, but that's not the end of the story. We have to say, and we know better, and make that connection up to the source through the Holy Spirit. And I think the embrace that is where we are in the holy instant is a space that opens up for us that's not about trying to understand it. Because, my mum used to tell a story about St. Peter on the rocks, trying to work out the mysteries of life, and he saw a wee boy going in and getting an egg cup and emptying it into a hole in the sand, and eventually St. Peter said to the boy, "What are you doing?" the boy said, oh, I'm going to empty the ocean into this hole in the sand. And St. Peter went, oh, you silly child. And the wee boy said, yeah, well, I've got about as much chance of emptying the ocean into this hole in the sand than you have of working out the mysteries of life with that mind of yours, you know. So the childlike, I know nothing, letting it go, is in the improv for me. It's that thing of, in the rules of improvisation, you've got to go with what the person said before. So, for example, if you and I were on stage improvising in front of an audience, and I said, you have been convicted of a serious crime and you're going to be hung by the neck until dead. You could reply, oh, Mom, what am I going to do? The improvisation is meant to kind of challenge us. It's meant to have contrasts like life. It's meant to throw us into, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to deal with the next bit? But what you can't do in improv is you can't block what went on. So for me, using improvisation is, for me, just saying that every encounter, every contrast, everything that happens to me, I have to start with acceptance. And then I call for help. But there's no point in shaking our fist at the heavens. There's no point in railing against it all. You know, we actually have to just know that we're improvisers, and we're not alone, and we're not separate. It's a lie. The other thing that I use is my Border Collie dogs. I am known for being a great trainer of Border Collie dogs, and it's a bit of a secret that I've not told anybody. I don't train my dogs. I've never trained a dog in my life. What I do is I look at a Border Collie, and since I was a very small child, I thought they were amazing. I knew they were brilliant. I knew they were innocent. I have every expectation of them showing up in complete love and support. And because of that energy, the dogs just know what I want them to do. And I've never felt I've trained a dog in my life, but I'm known for have Border Collies that walk to heel, that stop and ask them to. So what I'd like to try and do is take this huge expectation that I have for the Border Collie into every encounter that I meet, because every encounter is a holy encounter. And every time I meet someone, I want to remember that it's impossible to overestimate your brother's value. That when I meet anyone, to remember it's a holy encounter. As you see him, you will see yourself. As you treat him, you will treat yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. Never forget this, for in him, you will find yourself or lose yourself. So it's very easy for me to look at my Border Collie dogs and see nothing but pure perfection and innocence. So I'm going to try and, as a course student, take this headspace into meeting you guys and make you all Border Collie dogs for me. The other way that I try to embrace the course is I've trained as a celebrant, so I could now bury you. I could officially officiate over your funeral. And I read about what is death in the course, and I feel utterly free of any fear. And I understand that between the thinking about all the fearful thoughts, there's this truth of who I am, and it's clear that in that moment there is eternity. It's very clear to me that in that breath between the breaths, there's everything. There's everything, and it sounds kind of morbid, but I really can't wait to be around this part of our lives, because it's really important to have a great death, and it's just as important to have a great death as it is to have a great life, because we will show people, you know, we will show how we understand that this is not who we are. And I just read this morning, death is the symbol of the fear of God. His love is blotted out in the idea which holds it from awareness, like a shield held to obscure the sun. And the last to be overcome will be death, of course. Without the idea of death, there is no world. All dreams will end with this one. This is salvation's final goal, the end of all illusions, and in death are all illusions born. What can be born of death and still have life? But what is born of God and still can die? The inconsistencies and the compromises, which the world fosters in its vain attempts to cling to death, and yet to think love is real, are mindless magic, ineffectual and meaningless. So it's just knowing that of course we always knew that it was crazy that we could die. We always knew that. We always knew there was no such thing as a God that would let things die that we know are full of love. So these are the ways that I to talk about the elephant in the room, which is our belief in death, and to keep talking about it in a way that we can rubbish it and negate it, to embrace everyone like a border collie dog, and to know that the job is to just keep improvising. And I want to leave, before we go into meditation, just with two beautiful quotes from the Course, which is, instead of it feeling daunting, this is the kind of the stuff that I think the Course offers us. When you have learned how to decide with God, all decisions become as easy and as right as breathing. There is no effort, and you will be led as gently as if you were being carried down a quiet path in summer. In you is all of heaven. Every leaf that falls is given life in you. Each bird that ever sang will sing again in you. And every flower that ever bloomed has saved its perfume and its loveliness for you. And I'm sure I've gone over my 5 minutes.
You're on mute, Dan.
Oh, that's better. Yeah. So we have approximately 14 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand or use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and I'll take you off of mute. If you'd like to ask a question or comment confidentially, put it in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. There was a question. Hey, okay. Jan. Hold on. You have to take yourself off of mute.
I lost the little arrow. Libby, thank you so much. I love that so much. It was so deep, but I love your energy. So it was such fun as well. Thank you so much. And I love your hair, by the way, I have to say that. Amazing hair. Just a couple of things. I wonder if you could just tell us where, you know, those two bits that you read from the course, when you've decided to decide with God. Can you just, I know I've read them, but I'm wondering if you could tell, you know,
so
just.
I believe, Jan, this is the blue book, and it would be the text, page 280. When you have learned how to decide with God, all decisions become as easy and as right as breathing.
Okay, yeah.
Text, page 280.
280. Yeah. And the one with all of heaven is within.
Aren't they lovely, Jan?
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and again, it's the text, and this one is page 527.
527 in the blue book. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can see why you love them. They just reflect you so much. And one very quick thing was when you were talking about your, you know, your techniques really, and you were talking about improvisation.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say something like acting as if. I don't know why. I just sort of probably got that wrong, but I thought that was it. So can you just say once more, if that's okay with everyone else, what the improvisation is for you, your technique, please?
Sure. Well, as an actor, some actors aren't strong in improv, but it's definitely one of my strong suits, and I love it so. And I very quickly began to understand that was the way that I had lived as a child during quite traumatic times.
Right.
Was to use that active imagination, and I now understand that's as close to God as we get as our creativity, and it's not about, you know, tap dancing or, you know, it's not it, and actually, Dan, my career has been going into prisons and mental health and rehab and working with domestic abuse victims. I don't even like the word victim, but basically it's that thing of every single moment we have the choice to think again, every single moment. And the course is brilliant on the fact that there is as much violence in the victim as there is in the villain. You know, like probably my favorite quote from the whole course is, and it's the only time in the whole book that the word is used, only once is this word used, and it's a Halloween word, so it's probably quite timely, and it's the word beware. And it says, beware the temptation to perceive yourself as unfairly treated. And I think the reason it's so strong for me is because it's so tempting. We bloody love it when folk make, you know, get it wrong for us, when they cut us up or you know, or they were, you know, like I have one of my lodgers at the moment who's found she's raked all through the social media of this guy she was saying who, you know, let's just say he's not of great character. You know, he just can't manage to be his word, you know. And of course she's found that he's been emailing, texting, you know. But, you know, I have such a laugh with her in the kitchen about, you know, beware the temptation to perceive yourself as unfairly treated, because we kind of love it. You know, it takes the bad look off us, you know. You know, but it's like all along this subconscious guilt that we have, that we turned our back on God and told him that we knew what we were doing and he could just bugger off, and we're done it. You know, it's so important that we get back into the innocence, you know. And I think the thing about the dogs for me is that because they are so innocent, when I love that in them, then I start to love it in me. And when I'm off the hook, everybody's off the hook, because we don't, hell is other people until it's not.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Libby.
Cheers, Jan.
Anybody with a question or a comment? Okay,
Hi,
Maggie. Maggie, I'll take you. You have to take yourself off mute. Good.
Well, thank you, Libby. Thank you, Libby, so much. I absolutely loved everything you said, and your humour and enthusiasm, and what you said about the course was so helpful. I'm trying to ask Holy Spirit for help with decisions, and what you said has made it more helpful. I'm going to read those passages. And also the other thing that you said about what you just said just recently, to perceive ourselves as being unfairly treated. That's just happened to me only last week.
Yeah.
And I have let go of a long-term friend because I felt like she was treating me unfairly. And I tried to do it with love, but I didn't think of it in the way you've just talked about it. I thought, well, she's not healthy for me. She's angry, she's judgmental. It's not a healthy.
I've thought these thoughts all through my life with so many individuals. What is the right thing to do? Obviously we hold people in love as much as we can, but does the course ask us to hang about with everybody, in the same kind of a way? And I don't think it does. In fact, Maggie, one of the strange things is it doesn't really matter. One of the great things the ego does is it gets us stuck on the horns of a dilemma. Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should? It's like a big healing coup, and we go up to that tip of the horn, and we go up to that tip of the. Should I stay or should? And the truth is, it doesn't matter what you do, because this world isn't real. All that matters is that you remember who you are, and that's all that matters. Stay or go, it doesn't matter. Just do it with love. And that's what I was kind of trying to think about the border collie dogs, because as long as I can understand, it's easy for me to love them, because I have such an expectation of them being wonderful to me. But if I can just take that great expectation to you and expect you to be wonderful to me, then chances are you probably will be, Maggie. We have to take 100% accountability, don't we? We have to take it back to ourselves all the time. This is our projection. It's all Hector projector. And if you're seeing it, you're being it,
Thank you. That's really helpful. That's so helpful. Thank you, Libby.
I have a comment from somebody which says, love's presence seems to get more and more tangible in each of these sessions. Thank you, Libby, for such joy, innocence, simplicity, juxtaposing the playful improv and the creativity of the child and death, all in one right together is so profound and happy. What a blessing. Thank you.
Oh, that's so moving. And guys, it's all about play. It really is all about play when we're here.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this idea of the Last Judgment. I think that's why I'm so interested in death. The Last Judgment, you look marvelous. God doesn't really care how we play. Play it being a Buddhist, play it being a rabbi, play it being a Catholic, play it being a Course in Miracles student. Who cares? Just remember who you are. And the point about the Last Judgment is it's the last. My mum was brought up by nuns in a Catholic orphanage, and we were like cartoon Catholics growing up. We were literally like, holy water at the door and the Sacred Heart, with the burning heart and the stigmata and the thorns and above and night prayers, and it was like I was like in Carrie's mum, it was like Carrie's mum's house, but one of the things that she taught me, which was brilliant, was that eating into the apple of the knowledge of good and evil is buying into the idea that you know who the bad guys are. That's the fall from grace. That's when the duality gets up. I teach acting and I teach it all around the course. I don't tell my students I'm doing that, of course, because they'd all think I was mad. But it's all about duality. It's all about, the singularity of love. Is every decent story is a return to love, even if it's only at the very end. and it's a bistro kid whiff, where the bad guy saves the wee girl or something, you know, from drowning or whatever it is. But every decent encounter is a return to love. Every decent story is a return to love. Every decent conversation is a return to love, you know, because that's who we are. We're not lovable. We are it. We are love, you know.
Wonderful. Who has a question or comment? Raise your hand.
Hi.
Hi, you. Take yourself off mute. Are you? There we go.
I would like to share one thing. I watched the film. It's called The Nines. If anybody heard of it, it's
KN?
The nines, number nines, but
Nines,
like plural.
Right.
It is a fabulous film that maybe you guys want to watch it. This guy, I'm not going to tell everything, but he creates a character in his world, and then from a 3 segment of the story, he sort of he changed the character within his story, and in the end he going back to he remember who truly he is. It is a fabulous film.
Well, you know, I always say that The Wizard of Oz, It's a Wonderful Life, The Alchemist by Kyle, it's all the same story.
Yes.
It's the story of remembering who we are.
Yes.
And we were that, you know, I remember the first boyfriend I had was a Billy. And I said to him, the extra L in Billy's for Libby and the extra B in Libby's for Billy. And I said to him, I know that I love you because I will love you already, anyway, always. Mm-hmm. And when I first came across the course basically says already, anyway, always. You know, there's nothing we can do.
Because for me, watching a film is a very simple way to realize what truly I am. Yeah. So whenever I watch that kind of, lots of films exist, my heart's just so burst to joy. It is just so beautiful.
I'm going to look that one up.
To connect to. It is a film, but it triggered my heart to just open up.
Listen, I finished with a boyfriend coming out of the movies once when I was going on about the movie and he went, it's only a film. And I thought, right, that's us done. You're finished. I can't be the girlfriend to a boy that says it's only a film. You know, no such thing. Right, I'm going to look that one up. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dennis, did you have something?
I love your story about the doggies. I worked at Heathrow for 10 years, and sometimes we used to answer the phone and say, Battersea Dogs Home, Rover speaking.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's true, Dennis.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you know, they've taught me so much because all I had to do was own a space for their you know, complete and utter brilliance, and they do everything I want them to do. And it, you know, Maggie, it just proves to me that we're doing it all. You know, whatever our expectation is of the person, the holy encounter in front of us, will be realized. You know, and in effect, that's all Jesus did. You know, all Jesus did was see the divine in every encounter. You know.
Well, I've had people call animals stupid, dumb animals. Maybe began to question the human saying that.
Sure, and they are God gifted to us, you know, to show us that love is the only reality. It's the only thing that matters. You know, I mean, it's funny picking those 3 things. You know, for me, improvisation is just a way to forgive the world. You know, we have to forgive the world, you know, because in forgiving the world, we forgive ourselves. And you know, and that's the point. You know, the point isn't to kind of, you know, read the course and go, oh, the crazy mad idea and the separation and the subconscious guilt, and you know, we'll go mad if we read the course with that kind of heavy-handed, you know, kind of, you know, offer, you know, this is, you know, we've lost ourselves, we're away from home, you know. I think it is possible to remember in this world, and it is in the holy instant, in that moment of now, which is not cerebral. It's not, we can't fix it with this thinking mind. We might as well be that wee boy trying to empty the ocean. We can just offer it up, you know. And there's something about the dogs that are in the present moment. They're so fully present and in the now. You know, they don't feel sorry for themselves. They don't, if you feel sorry for them, you know, like the poodle with his wither one ear, you know, dogs see your pity as just weak energy. They don't understand what you're doing. They know they're fine. You know, they no matter what happened to them in the past, they just let it go. You know, and it's just if we could learn that for ourselves and each other, you know. And it sounds a bit morbid, me being so excited about being around death, but I just think it's the one big, you know, it's the bogeyman. You know, every culture's got a bogeyman. You know, every you know, Bible John and all. You know, there's every culture's got some sort of spooky ghost thing, and it's all connected with death. You know. Also, I think what's happening with movies just now is there's a kind of recurring theme of either destroy or be destroyed, or special significant other. And I don't know if anyone watched the terrible remake of Rebecca, but God, it made me mad. But the special significant other and the destroy or be destroyed are like the ego's best tools in the arsenal, you know. It tries to compensate for destroy and be destroyed with sentimental romantic love, you know, and they're both the same. You know, this is the big joke. I've worked in prisons with murderers and stuff, and the most brutal, you know, man is the guy that barters with sentimental poetry. You know, sentimentality and brutality are the same thing. You know, love is true for all of us, and only ever true for all of us when it's true. You know, guess who's been single most of our adult life? If you know of any nice men who are Course in Miracles students, you want to just pass them on. But yeah, it's that thing of the booby prize that we're given with romantic love. You know, we're given that, you know, special significant other story, you know, when it's really just love and retreat, you know.
Okay, we've come to the top of our time together. Thank you so much, Libby. This has been wonderful. I got so much out of it. I'm sure we all have. Take yourself off mute and thank Libby.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
so much,
Libby.
Libby.
Thanks,
Thank
Libby.
I could listen to you all
Thank you.
day.
Yes,
Lovely.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Thanks, wonderful.
Thank you.
What a lovely way to